Okay, so we've seen in some of the examples, we have this geometry that has kind of faceted faces, so they're quite straight. And to achieve this, we need to make sure that there is no soften shader applied to the object, then we need to harden the edges, okay? So how are we going to do this? So to create this low poly effect, the first thing we have to keep in mind is to keep the polygon count really low. So for example, I'm going to create this plane. It just has 6 subdivisions in width and height, okay? And then I'm going to go into the vertex, and with soft selection, so B, I'm going to pull this one up. Actually, I'm going to increase the size of this, pull this one up, and then maybe take this one a little bit lower. So create a little bit of variation, okay? And this is actually quite soft because I did it with soft selection. And if I stop selecting this, you actually don't notice that where the edges in the middle of the plane is. You only see the edges that are quite straight on the sides, okay? And this is because by default, it has a smoothing shader on top, okay? The only way for me to see that is if I harden those edges. So if I go to Mesh Display menu, to harden edges, now when I stop selecting it, you're actually going to see the edges, okay? So I could go back, create another plane, and this time I'm going to put 12 subdivisions in each side, okay? I'm going to apply now texture deformer, so I go to Deform, Texture. We actually explained the texture deformer in class, okay? So I'm going to add on the texture deformer, I'm going to add a noise to the texture, okay? And this is actually, if I select it, you see how it's pulling each vertex up and down depending on the texture, okay? But if I unselect this, you don't really see it. It's quite soft. You only see it on the sides. I'm actually going to increase the strength so that it's even more obvious. But I only see it on the sides. I mean, I see the deformation, but it's quite soft and a little bit here at the edges. So if I want to see this low poly effect a lot stronger, I select my object, go to Mesh Display, harden edges, okay? And now I really see the difference between all these little polygons, okay? And one of the things that tells me that I actually see the difference is that now I see that this whole thing is gray, but I see that this gray is darker than this one, and this one, depending on how this default light is falling on it. Obviously, it depends on how the light on your composition is going to be.